The supermarket shelves are bare. The power's been out for 3 days, your neighbor's knocking, asking if you have any extra food because their kids are crying from hunger. This isn't some Hollywood disaster movie. This is real life when supply chains snap like rubber bands. And right now, while you're watching this video in comfort, you have a choice. You can keep scrolling and hope everything stays normal forever, or you can spend the next few minutes learning about 13 canned foods that could literally save your family's life when normal disappears overnight. I'm Zach, and I've been prepping since 2012. I've made every mistake in the book, wasted money on fancy gear that broke when I needed it most, and learned the hard way that when things go sideways, simple beats complex every single time. These 13 canned foods aren't glamorous, they won't impress your friends at dinner parties, but they will keep you fed, healthy, and sane when the world stops making sense. Let's start with number 1, and this might surprise you. Canned white beans. Not black beans, not kidney beans, white beans. Here's why this matters. White beans are nutrition powerhouses disguised as boring pantry fillers. They're loaded with plant-based protein, about 15 grams per cup, which is more than most people realize. But the real magic happens with the fiber content. 20 grams of fiber per cup. That's almost your entire daily requirement in one serving. Why does this matter in a crisis? Because when you're living off shelf-stable foods, your digestive system goes haywire. Rice, pasta, crackers, they're all low-fiber foods that'll stop you up faster than concrete in your pipes. White beans keep everything moving while delivering steady, slow-burning energy that won't spike your blood sugar and crash you 2 hours later. But here's the kicker most preppers miss. White beans are chameleons. They absorb flavors like nobody's business. Throw them in a pot with some canned tomatoes and spices, you've got Italian. Add curry powder and coconut milk, suddenly you're eating Indian cuisine. Mix them with salsa, and you've got Mexican food. One ingredient, endless possibilities. And that variety keeps your morale up when everything else is falling apart. Storage-wise, these cans will sit happy for 3 to 5 years minimum. I've personally eaten white beans that were 7 years past their printed date, and they tasted exactly the same as fresh ones. Keep them in a cool, dry place, rotate your stock, and you're golden. Right now, you can grab a can for about $1.50, but don't let that fool you. Bean prices have jumped 20% in the last 18 months thanks to drought conditions in major growing regions. What costs $1.50 today might cost $3 tomorrow. Number 2 is gonna sound weird, but trust me on this one. Canned artichoke hearts. I know what you're thinking. Artichokes? Really, Zach? But hear me out. These little Mediterranean gems are survival food in disguise, and most preppers walk right past them without a second thought. First, let's talk nutrition. Artichoke hearts are loaded with antioxidants, more than almost any other vegetable. They're packed with fiber, potassium, and something called cynarin, which supports liver function. When you're living off processed foods and dealing with stress that would break a normal person, your liver is working overtime to filter toxins. Artichoke hearts give it the support it needs to keep you healthy. But the real reason I love these for prepping is texture and satisfaction. After weeks of eating soft beans and mushy rice, biting into something with actual substance, something that requires chewing, becomes a psychological lifeline. It tricks your brain into thinking you're eating real food, not just survival rations. And they're incredibly versatile. Chop them up and add them to pasta. Throw them in a salad if you still got grains. Mix them with canned chicken for a protein-packed meal that actually tastes good. Here's something most people don't know. Artichoke hearts are natural appetite suppressants. They make you feel full faster and keep you satisfied longer. When you're rationing food and trying to stretch your supplies, that's pure gold. One small can mixed into a larger dish can make the whole meal feel more substantial and filling. Storage is simple. These bad boys last 4 to 5 years unopened, sometimes longer if you store them properly. And right now, you can still find them for $2 to $4 per jar, depending on the brand. But here's your warning. Mediterranean foods are having a moment. Everyone's jumping on the health benefits, and prices are creeping up fast. Some premium brands have already doubled in price over the last 2 years. Number 3 might make you laugh, but canned spinach is a prepper's secret weapon. Yeah, I know, it looks like green slime and tastes like the earth,
But when fresh vegetables are a distant memory and your body is screaming for real nutrition, this green goop becomes liquid gold. Let me paint you a picture. It's week 6 of a grid-down situation. You've been living off rice, beans, and canned meat. Your energy is tanking, your immune system is shot, and you're starting to feel like garbage. That's when you crack open a can of spinach and remember what real nutrition feels like. This stuff is loaded with iron, more than almost any other food. It's got folate for red blood cell production, vitamin K for blood clotting, and enough vitamin A to keep your night vision sharp when the lights are out. But here's the trick to making canned spinach edible. Don't eat it straight from the can like some kind of green punishment. Drain it, squeeze out the excess water, and mix it into literally anything else. Scrambled eggs if you've got chickens, rice dishes, soup. Even mixed into ground meat, it disappears completely, but adds a massive nutritional boost. Back in 2017, I was dealing with a power outage that lasted 8 days after an ice storm. By day 5, I was feeling weak and tired from eating nothing but crackers and peanut butter. I remember the cases of canned spinach in my basement that I'd bought on sale and forgotten about. Mixed a can into some instant mashed potatoes with butter powder and garlic salt. It was like flipping a switch. Energy came back, brain fog cleared up, and I felt human again. Storage couldn't be easier. Canned spinach lasts 3 to 5 years easy, and it's still one of the cheapest sources of real nutrition you can buy. About $1 per can, sometimes less if you buy in bulk. But keep an eye on those prices. Vegetable costs across the board are climbing, and canned spinach won't be immune forever.
By the way, because I know how overwhelming prepping can feel when you're just starting out, I put together a free resource that takes all the guesswork out of building your first food storage system. It's called the $50 Food Supply Guide, and it shows you exactly how to turn $50 into a 90-day emergency food supply for your family. I'm talking about the exact shopping list with specific brands and prices, 37 preparedness items most people never think to stockpile, and the simple storage tricks that work in any home or apartment. You can make emergency meals with zero cooking fuel or electricity. And I even included the one gas station snack that's perfect for bartering. The guide walks you through scaling up from 1 week to 3 months with confidence, plus storage strategies to keep everything organized and fresh for years. It's completely free, and the link is in the description below. Just put in your name and email, and I'll send it right over. Your email privacy is completely protected, and I'll never share your information with anyone. Now, let's get back to our list with number 5. And this one's a game changer. Canned coconut cream. Not coconut milk, coconut cream. This thick, rich, calorie-dense powerhouse is survival food disguised as a tropical treat. Here's why coconut cream belongs in every prepper pantry. Fat calories. When you're burning through energy faster than normal, dealing with cold weather, or doing physical work to survive, your body craves fat. It's the most calorie-dense macronutrient, providing 9 calories per gram compared to 4 calories per gram from carbs or protein. 1 can of coconut cream packs about 600 calories, mostly from healthy saturated fats that your body can use immediately for energy. But coconut cream isn't just about calories. It contains medium-chain triglycerides, or MCTs, which are fats that your body can convert to energy faster than regular fats. It's like having a reserve fuel tank that kicks in when your regular energy stores are low and running. And unlike other high-fat foods that might go rancid, coconut cream is naturally antimicrobial, which means it resists spoilage. The versatility is insane. You can drink it straight if you need quick calories, mix it with instant coffee for a rich, satisfying drink, add it to rice or oatmeal for extra richness and calories, use it as a base for curries or stews. Even mix it with protein powder if you're trying to maintain muscle mass during tough times. It makes everything taste better and more satisfying. Storage is straightforward. Coconut cream typically lasts 2 to 4 years on the shelf, and it doesn't require refrigeration until opened. Keep it in a cool, dry place and rotate your stock regularly. One thing to watch for is separation, where the cream and water separate in the can. That's completely normal. Just stir it back together and you're good to go. Pricing is where things get interesting. Right now you can find good coconut cream for $3 to $6 per can, but coconut products are trending hard in the health and fitness communities. Keto dieters love it, plant-based eaters use it as a dairy substitute, and fitness enthusiasts are catching on to the MCT benefits. Demand is rising faster than supply in some regions, and prices have jumped about 15% in the last year alone. Number 6 might surprise you. Canned roasted red peppers.
These aren't just a fancy pizza topping. They're morale-boosting, vitamin-packed survival food that can turn boring rations into something that actually tastes good. Let's talk about what roasted red peppers bring to your survival table. First, they're loaded with vitamin C, more than oranges in many cases. When fresh fruits are gone and your immune system is under attack from stress, poor sleep, and limited nutrition, vitamin C becomes critical for staying healthy. They're also rich in vitamin A for eye health and antioxidants that help your body deal with toxins and inflammation.
But the real magic is psychological. After weeks of eating bland, beige survival foods, the sweet, smoky flavor of roasted red peppers can make you feel human again. They add color, texture, and complexity to simple dishes. Chop them up and add them to scrambled eggs. Mix them into rice or pasta. Blend them with a little oil and garlic to make a sauce that can transform any boring protein into something special. Here's a trick I learned during an extended camping trip that turned into an accidental survival exercise. I was living off basic camping food for 2 weeks when a storm system trapped me in the mountains longer than planned. By day 10, I was so tired of bland food that I was starting to lose my appetite entirely. That's when I remembered the jar of roasted red peppers buried in my pack. I chopped them up and mixed them with some instant rice and canned chicken. The flavor transformation was incredible. Suddenly, I was excited about eating again, and my energy levels improved immediately. Storage-wise, roasted red peppers and jars typically last 3 to 5 years unopened. The oil or brine they're packed in actually helps preserve them and adds extra calories and flavor to whatever you're making. Keep them in a cool, dark place, and they'll be ready when you need them. Price point is still reasonable for now, $2 to $5 per jar, depending on size and brand. But specialty vegetables like these are getting more expensive as gourmet cooking becomes mainstream. Import costs are rising, and domestic production can't keep up with demand. Get them while they're still affordable. Number 8 is going to sound boring, but canned diced tomatoes are the foundation of survival cooking. These aren't just ingredients, they're flavor multipliers that can turn any combination of basic foods into something that actually tastes like a meal. Here's why canned tomatoes are essential for long-term food storage. They're acidic, which means they're naturally antimicrobial and have an incredibly long shelf life. I've used canned tomatoes that were 8 years old, and they tasted exactly like fresh ones. They're loaded with lycopene, a powerful antioxidant that supports heart health and immune function. And they provide natural umami, that savory fifth taste that makes food satisfying and delicious. But the real reason canned tomatoes are prepper gold is their ability to transform other foods. Got plain white rice? Add some canned tomatoes, onion powder, and garlic salt, and suddenly you've got Spanish rice. Boring beans? Tomatoes turn them into chili. Canned meat getting old? Tomato sauce makes it taste like something your grandmother would serve. They're the bridge between survival rations and real food. I learned this lesson the hard way during a week-long power outage in 2019. I had plenty of food stored, but it was all basic stuff: rice, beans, canned meat, crackers. By day 3, I was forcing myself to eat because everything tasted like cardboard. That's when I remembered the cases of canned tomatoes in my storage room. I started adding them to everything. Rice became pilaf, beans became chili, canned chicken became something that actually tasted good. My appetite came back, my energy improved, and I made it through the rest of the outage without feeling like I was suffering. Storage is idiot-proof. Canned tomatoes last 4 to 6 years easy, sometimes longer in proper conditions. The high acid content means they're less likely to spoil than low-acid foods, and they actually get better with age as the flavors meld together. Keep them in a cool, dry place, and they'll be ready when you need them. Price point is still reasonable, for now. $2 to $5 per jar depending on size and brand, but specialty vegetables like these are getting more expensive as gourmet cooking becomes mainstream. Import costs are rising, and domestic production can't keep up with demand. Get them while they're still affordable. Number 8 is where we get into serious nutrition territory: canned sweet potato. This orange powerhouse is like a multivitamin in a can, and it might just be the most important thing you store for long-term survival. Sweet potatoes are carbohydrate royalty. They're loaded with complex carbs for sustained energy, but they won't spike your blood sugar like white potatoes or rice. They're packed with beta-carotene, which your body converts to vitamin A for immune function and eye health. They've got potassium for heart and muscle function, fiber for digestion, and natural sugars that satisfy cravings without being overwhelming.
But here's what makes canned sweet potato special for preppers. It's ready to eat straight from the can. No cooking required. No fuel needed. No preparation beyond opening the lid. When you're cold, tired, and running low on resources, being able to eat something nutritious and satisfying without any effort is priceless. And unlike fresh sweet potatoes, which spoiled in weeks, canned versions sit on your shelf for 3 to 5 years without any degradation. The psychological benefits are huge too. Sweet potato has a natural sweetness that feels like a treat when everything else in your diet is savory or bland. It's comfort food that happens to be incredibly healthy. Mix it with a little cinnamon or nutmeg if you have spices, and suddenly you've got something that tastes like dessert but fuels you like a champion athlete. I discovered the power of canned sweet potato during a winter camping trip that went longer than planned. I was burning through calories faster than I could replace them with my usual trail foods. By day 4, I was getting shaky and weak. That's when I tried the canned sweet potato I'd thrown in my pack as an afterthought. The natural sugars gave me immediate energy, but the complex carbs kept me stable for hours. It was exactly what my body needed at exactly the right time. Storage is simple. Keep the cans in a cool, dry place and they'll last for years. Some brands I've tested were still perfect after 6 years of storage. The natural acidity and sugar content help preserve them naturally. Just check for dents or rust on the cans and rotate your stock regularly. Price-wise, canned sweet potato is still affordable at about $2 per can. But sweet potato crops are labor-intensive and sensitive to weather changes. With more people discovering the health benefits and supply chains getting tighter, expect prices to climb. Some organic brands have already doubled in price over the last 3 years. Number 9 is going to make some people uncomfortable, but canned liver is one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. I know, liver isn't exactly popular in modern American cuisine, but when you're trying to survive on limited resources, this stuff is like taking a daily multivitamin, except it's actually food your body can use. Let me break down what canned liver brings to the survival table. It's loaded with iron, more than almost any other food. We're talking about bioavailable iron that your body can actually absorb and use, not the synthetic stuff in pills that might or might not work. It's packed with B vitamins, especially B12, which is critical for energy production and brain function. It's got vitamin A, folate, and copper. Basically, it's nature's multivitamin in food form. Now, I'm not going to pretend that canned liver tastes great on its own. It doesn't. It's strong, metallic, and definitely an acquired taste. But here's the secret. You don't eat it by itself. You mix small amounts into other foods. A few tablespoons mixed into ground meat completely disappears, but adds massive nutritional value. Add it to stew or chili, it'll blend right in. Mixed into rice with spices, you'll barely notice it's there. The key is thinking of it as a supplement, not a main dish. A little bit goes a long way nutritionally. One small can contains enough nutrients to support you for weeks if used sparingly. And in a survival situation where every calorie and every nutrient matters, that efficiency is invaluable. Storage is excellent. Canned liver typically lasts 4 to 6 years on the shelf, and it's actually more stable than many other canned meats because of its high vitamin content, which acts as a natural preservative. Keep it cool and dry, rotate your stock, and it'll be there when you need it most. Pricing is still reasonable because most Americans avoid liver like the plague. You can usually find canned liver for $2 to $4 per can. But as more people wake up to the nutritional benefits, especially in the health and fitness communities, demand is slowly increasing. Get it while it's still cheap and available. Number 10 brings us back to something more familiar: canned chicken thighs. Not chicken breast, chicken thighs. There's a big difference, and it matters when you're trying to survive on stored food. Chicken breast is lean protein, which sounds good until you realize that lean protein without fat leaves you hungry and unsatisfied. Chicken thighs have fat, skin, and connective tissue that provide calories, flavor, and satisfaction. They're more forgiving if overcooked. They taste better and they keep you full longer. In a survival situation, those factors make all the difference. Canned chicken thighs are incredibly versatile. You can eat them straight from the can if necessary. Mix them into rice or pasta for a complete meal. Add them to soup for extra protein and richness. Use them in casseroles, stir-fries, or anywhere you'd use fresh chicken.
The texture is better than canned breast meat, and the flavor is more pronounced. Here's something most people don't consider. Dark meat chicken contains more iron, zinc, and B vitamins than white meat. When you're living off stored foods and not getting the variety of nutrients you normally would, those extra minerals and vitamins matter. Your body needs them to maintain energy levels, immune function, and mental clarity. I learned to appreciate canned chicken thighs during an ice storm that knocked out power to my area for 10 days. I had plenty of canned chicken breast stored, but after a few days, I was getting tired of the dry, bland taste. That's when I tried the chicken thighs I'd stored as backup. The difference was immediate. More flavor, more satisfaction, and I actually looked forward to meals instead of just forcing myself to eat for fuel. Storage follows the same rules as other canned meats. 3 to 5 years in cool, dry conditions, sometimes longer if stored properly. Check cans for damage, rotate stock regularly, and you'll always have quality protein available. Pricing is competitive with other canned meats, usually $3 to $6 per can depending on size and brand. But chicken prices across the board have been volatile, and dark meat is becoming more popular as people discover it tastes better than white meat. Expect gradual price increases, especially for higher quality brands. Number 11 might surprise you. Canned mushrooms. These aren't just pizza toppings. They're umami bombs that can transform bland survival foods into something that actually tastes good. And they bring some serious nutritional benefits that most people don't know about. Mushrooms are one of the few non-animal sources of vitamin D, especially if they've been UV treated during processing. Vitamin D is critical for immune function, bone health, and mood regulation. When you're stuck indoors during a crisis or living in conditions where you're not getting much sunlight, that vitamin D becomes incredibly important for maintaining your health and mental state. But the real magic of canned mushrooms is their ability to add depth and richness to simple foods. They're loaded with natural glutamates, which provide umami, that savory fifth taste that makes food satisfying and delicious. Add them to rice, and suddenly you've got mushroom risotto. Mix them into canned meat, and the flavor complexity jumps dramatically. They make everything taste more like real food and less like survival rations. The texture benefits are significant too. After weeks of eating soft beans, mushy rice, and processed foods, having something with a firm, meaty bite helps satisfy your psychological need for variety. It tricks your brain into thinking you're eating a more complex meal than you actually are. Storage is excellent. Canned mushrooms typically last 3 to 4 years on the shelf, and they actually improve with age as the flavors concentrate. The liquid they're packed in is basically mushroom broth, which adds even more flavor to whatever you're making. Don't drain it away. Use it as part of your cooking liquid. Price-wise, canned mushrooms are still affordable at $1 to $3 per can, but mushroom farming is energy-intensive, and rising fuel costs are pushing prices up. Some specialty varieties have already doubled in price over the last 2 years. Stock up on the basic button mushrooms while they're still cheap. Number 13 takes us into comfort food territory. Canned mac and cheese. I can hear some of you groaning already. Mac and cheese isn't exactly health food, but when you're dealing with the stress of a survival situation, especially if you have kids, comfort food becomes survival food. Here's the reality of long-term emergencies. Adults can force themselves to eat things they don't like if it means staying alive. Kids can't. They'll refuse food, even when they're hungry, if it tastes bad or seems scary. Canned mac and cheese is familiar, comforting, and appealing to children. It can mean the difference between a child eating enough to stay healthy and strong or slowly wasting away because they won't touch the weird food you're trying to give them. But it's not just about kids. After weeks of eating beans, rice, and canned vegetables, your morale starts to tank. You start to feel like you're just surviving instead of living. Comfort foods help maintain the psychological energy you need to keep going. They remind you that there's still pleasure and normalcy possible, even in difficult circumstances. From a practical standpoint, canned mac and cheese is calorie-dense, shelf-stable, and requires minimal preparation. You can eat it cold if necessary, though it's much better heated. It provides carbohydrates for energy and some protein from the cheese. It's not optimal nutrition, but it's adequate nutrition with the added benefit of being something people actually want to eat. Storage follows standard canned food guidelines. 2 to 4 years on the shelf in cool, dry conditions. Some brands include extra preservatives that extend shelf life even further. Rotate your stock and check for can damage regularly. Pricing varies widely depending on brand and size, typically $2 to $4 per can. But dairy prices have been volatile, and specialty canned foods like this are getting more expensive as food processing costs rise. It's not the cheapest survival food, but the psychological benefits might make it worth the extra cost. Number 13 brings us full circle to serious nutrition: canned beef stew. This isn't just convenient food, it's complete nutrition in a can. Protein, vegetables, carbohydrates, and fat all balanced together in a meal that actually tastes like something your grandmother might have made.
Quality canned beef stew contains chuck roast or similar cuts that provide both protein and fat. The vegetables, usually potatoes, carrots, and onions, add vitamins, minerals, and fiber. The broth provides sodium and other electrolytes your body needs, especially if you're sweating from physical work or stress. It's one of the most complete survival foods you can store. The psychological benefits are enormous. Beef stew tastes like home, like comfort, like normal life. When everything around you is chaotic and uncertain, sitting down to a bowl of something that tastes familiar and satisfying can provide the mental boost you need to keep going. It's the kind of food that reminds you why you're fighting to survive in the first place. From a practical standpoint, canned beef stew is ready to eat straight from the can, though it's much better heated. It's filling and satisfying in a way that individual ingredients aren't. One can provides enough calories and nutrients to sustain an adult for several hours of normal activity, longer if you're rationing carefully. Storage is typical for canned meats. 3 to 5 years on the shelf under proper conditions, sometimes longer. The combination of meat, vegetables, and broth actually helps preserve each component, creating a synergistic effect that extends shelf life. Keep cans in a cool, dry place, rotate stock regularly, and check for damage. Pricing reflects the quality and complexity of the product. Expect to pay $4 to $8 per can for decent quality beef stew. But meat prices have been rising steadily, and beef prices in particular have been volatile. With cattle herds at multi-decade lows and feed costs rising, expect canned beef products to get significantly more expensive over the next few years. Here's the truth about survival food storage that most people don't want to hear. It's not about having enough food to last forever. It's about having enough good food to maintain your health, energy, and morale long enough to either wait out the crisis or figure out a long-term solution. These 13 canned foods aren't just calories in metal containers. They're your insurance policy against hunger, malnutrition, and the despair that comes from eating nothing but bland survival rations. The key is variety. Your body needs different nutrients from different sources. Your mind needs different flavors and textures to stay engaged with food. Your family needs familiar, comforting options that make a bad situation feel manageable. No single food, no matter how nutritious, can provide everything you need for long-term survival. But this combination of 13 foods can keep you fed, healthy, and reasonably happy for months if stored properly and used wisely. Start with the basics: white beans for protein and fiber, canned tomatoes for flavor and vitamins, sweet potatoes for complex carbs and nutrients. Then add the specialty items that provide specific benefits: mackerel for omega-3s, liver for concentrated nutrition, coconut cream for healthy fats. Each one fills a gap in your nutritional profile while adding variety to your meal options. Don't wait until prices go up further or availability becomes an issue. Start building your stockpile now, while these foods are still affordable and easy to find. Buy a few extra cans every time you grocery shop. Look for sales and bulk pricing opportunities. Most importantly, learn to cook with these foods now while you still have access to fresh ingredients to supplement them. Practice making meals from your stored ingredients so you know what works and what doesn't. If you haven't grabbed that free $50 food supply guide yet, now's the time. The link is right there in the description below. It takes everything I've learned about food storage over more than a decade of prepping and distills it down into a simple, practical plan that anyone can follow. Don't wait until you need it to start building your food security. Remember, the goal isn't to become a doomsday prepper living in fear. The goal is to become someone who's prepared for whatever life throws at you. Someone who can take care of their family when normal systems break down. Someone who has options when other people have none. These 13 canned foods are your first step toward that kind of confidence and security. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll dive even deeper into practical preparedness strategies that work in the real world.